Yeah, but I don't want to be overweight street cop.
You want to be like
Detective
fit,
overweight.
Yeah,
street
fit
cop.
federal agent.
Or I want to be the guy. I actually, the role that I could see for me, especially in like a movie, is like desk sergeant when like you're introduced to the protagonist or whatever, or he lands himself in like trouble. And they bring him, he got arrested. They bring him to and the desk sergeant's the guy who's the first guy you see when you walk
like
into the police station.
or something.
Yeah, he's just like got a smart thing to say or whatever, you know what I mean? Or even he could be like a good character. Let's open up all the possibilities. But I'm just saying, like I can be that guy for sure. The guy who's going to deliver that funny line.
Yeah, or like the two cops in Beverly Hills Cop 1 that make fun of Taggart and I forget the other one.
Yeah, absolutely. Like
Judge Reinholz.
You guys fuck with Bosch?
Bosch?
I never saw it. No.
Bosch is like it's like
a drill brand that I'm familiar with.
It's spelled the same way too.
This is about Detective Harry Bosch. It's on Amazon. This is like for like adults who like. It's almost like a male kind of like modern Angela Lansbury sort of thing, where it's just like a more mellow, like
Murder
almost
Bosch,
like modern noir ish. Because like they're always like. Bosch is this guy. You'll notice the actor if you ever see him. His name's like Titus Welliver.
Yeah,
he's in Sons of Anarchy. He's in like a bunch of Affleck movies and Boston movies and stuff.
Oh, this is like modern.
Yeah, this is new. Yeah. But he's like a detective, and every now and again he'll get like kind of mad, and they're like, "Oh man, Bosch is off the hook right now." And you're like, "He's not even that mad." Like I get that mad if somebody fucks up my bagel order. Bosch would be like, "I'll see you in court." And I'm like, "That's how I talk to my bodega guy if he's fucking with me."
But you do it all the time. Bosch is like, when he's gone there, but shit's about to go full.
Everybody
Bosch.
on the show is that way. It's just so weird. It's so just like it's almost like paced for like adults. Like I don't know. Watch it sometime.
I'll give it a watch.
Anyway,
I'll watch any show where the title is bold enough to just be the name of the character.
Yeah. There are these, always like these D plot guys in the show. Who are one of them's played by the coach from Ace Ventura. Remember the Miami Dolphins coach?
Yep.
He plays that guy. Like I could be that guy.
I could see you being that.
Yeah. Him and his other partner, they're called Crate and Barrel on the show, right? Yeah.
Adorable.
Right, and they always have like he's like, I'm gonna go home and watch a John Wayne Western. Sort of character and whatnot. It's cute and he's old and it's like he's on the back end of his life.
Crate and Barrel sounds like a pair of like YouTubers that are super like Trumper. Like, we're Crate and Barrel here to tell you about Donald Trump.
Crate and Barrel is more of a Joe Biden demographic.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, no, I didn't.
Wall and Mart.
I wasn't thinking the store. Oh, I see. Yeah. Okay.
Wall and Mart. All right, you guys, welcome to the Bushwick Bears Podcast.
Oh, we were supposed to have a song.
Yeah, we didn't do a song.
No, that's all right. We're back.
That was like a cold open.
Oh,
and now the song.
I like it. We can have a song now. We're just talking about right now. Derek was talking about the kind of roles he would like to play as an actor. I get cast as I've been cast off the street as a cook.
Yeah.
3 times.
Yeah. When I had my beard, I did a lot of homeless guy crackhead.
Yeah, I could see that.
I'm in The Purge as a crackhead.
Oh yeah, that's right. You're in the movie
first Purge.
The
fifth one.
No, but it's literally called The First Purge.
Oh, okay, yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
The first Purge.
But it's the fifth movie.
Yeah.
The Purge series seems like it's on par with Planet of the Apes as far as like how many iterations
they could do it. There's so many. Yeah.
I hear
and
good
it's still
things.
like a smart movie.
I've honestly not watched.
That's my favorite thing, to not watch something I'm in.
That's great. Right?
I mean, I'm just not that into horror movies, but also I honestly hear that it's pretty good. Like I hear the first one, especially for like low, but I've heard good things
Ethan
about.
Hawke. It's Blumhouse.
Yeah, I've heard good things about Blumhouse in general. That like as far as tight budgets early on, they did some really cool
did Get Out.
novels. What really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's cool.
They do a bunch of shit.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
They do
I had no idea.
I just think it's so funny because, like, for me, it's like I know I'm pretty self-aware. I know what I look like, but I've never worked in a kitchen in my entire life.
Yeah,
I have a.
But you got resting. Angry chef.
I have resting back of the house face.
Well, that's because like chefs. That's because chefs try to look like you. Chefs try and be like, I'm a rock and roll dude. Heat that grill up to 450. Let me show you where I strum my guitar. And every chef I've known has gotten, but Jericho actually is the real deal, like musician and comedian. Like those guys have pensions and 401ks.
But can you cook?
I'm actually a decent cook.
All right, there you go.
I am a pretty good cook.
I cooked for years and I'm just okay.
That's funny. You know what's funny? I did get I got right in 2016, right when Trump was getting elected, like right before Trump got elected, I was cast in a music video. It was Carrie Caudette's, like she made this thing, and it was great. And there was a full production and it turned out really cool. It was awesome. I love Carrie Caudette. She's fucking hilarious. But she hit me up and she's like, hey, I'm filming this thing. I thought the way she phrased it was so funny. She's like, do you own a suit? Which is the funniest thing, that she just assumed I didn't own a suit, which is funny.
That's a fair question.
It is a very
for
fair
a comic
question.
Especially.
But that was when I was like full on biker Jesus look. I had really long hair, really long beard. And I was like, I do, yeah. And she's like, I want you to play a Trump advisor. And I got like kind of confused, and I was like, because I have tattoos on my hands and neck and stuff, and I look a certain way.
Not exactly an advisor.
Not exactly a Trump advisor. And then I was like, oh man, you must not know that many white people you like. Because I was like, I'm just playing a white guy, but I don't look like that type of white guy.
Right? Yeah.
That was a super fun. That was a super fun shoot. Derek's jealous of my.
It's true. You would be like an or I guess they're always like a general that he like puts on. That's who I could see you playing.
Hell yeah!
I'm
down for that.
I'll
play whatever. As
I'll
long
play
as it's
general
funny.
for both sides.
Yeah, I don't give a shit. My only allegiance is to my failing career at this point.
I've played a tough guy thug once or twice.
Yeah.
In things.
Yeah.
Which is funny.
I haven't.
Oh. Hey, do you guys like the Flaming Lips?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen them live before.
I've seen them live,
Great
yeah.
show live.
Okay, do you know that song, A Spoonful
Weighs a Ton?
Yeah. I was just listening to Mastodon put out a new album, and they did a cover of that.
Dude, that sounds awesome.
Yeah,
I love that
it's
song.
pretty cool. We should do that song for our intro song.
What, right now?
Yeah, we'll do an intro song 7 minutes into the podcast.
7 minutes. All right,
it's pretty. Actually, I should just play it on my phone. I'm just kidding.
I saw the Flaming Lips. I mean, this was probably 4 or 5 years ago.
Oh, pretty recently.
Pretty recently, they played at Terminal 5.
Yeah.
Oh,
and,
that's a good venue to see them in.
And we took acid, being all the boys.
Yeah.
And we did that classic thing where we did that like, when you with psychedelics, it's so funny. You want to time it right.
You want to be peaking right as like.
Well, we ate it as we walked in the door, and we were late, so they like started as we were walking in the door. So I was like peaking when it was over.
Yeah.
Oh.
But it made for such a great night. Like, that show was amazing. Wayne Coyne came out on like a colorful, like lit up lighted unicorn.
Yeah.
And there were big mushrooms in the crowd. It was awesome.
Yeah. They were like dressed like furries when I saw them. Like,
yeah, they had all the furries.
Yeah. Like balls floating everywhere.
Oh, it was great. It's a great show.
I would go see them on mushrooms.
Oh yeah, it's a really phenomenal show. But the funniest thing was, we're leaving, and I'm like starting to trip pretty good, and we meet up with my boss. Or at this time, she might not have been my boss anymore. I don't remember. We're friends.
Yeah.
But she was at the show, and outside we meet up, and I'm good friends with her boyfriend too, and we're all hanging out, and I'm like literally tripping on acid. And this dude comes out of nowhere, very clean cut, tall, white dude, like a shirt tucked in. And he was like, oh, we're going to go to a bar and grill. And I was like, I couldn't take it. I was like, no one says bar and grill. Nobody says that. And I was like, oh my God. And they left, and I was with my friends that I was there with, and I go, was that guy even real? And they just started laughing, and I was like, they're like, why? Yeah, his name's Kevin. Why would you say that? And I go, because he kept saying bar and grill, and nobody says bar and grill.
Right.
That's the two things they tell you when you're dreaming is if you can't read the clock or someone says bar and grill.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, we're laughing. That was such a funny time because, you know, Terminal 5's way on the west side and like on like the 60s.
Yeah.
And
it's like 63rd and 9th.
yeah. And we're on the west side.
You
And
gotta fucking walk
for people,
to get there.
for people who don't know New York, there's the West Side Park goes almost down the whole side of the island, and there's like a bike path, and there's this little park. It's awesome. It's actually a really nice path. But we get out of there, and we're walking, and we're like, do we get on the train? Which, you know, we're going to Bed-Stuy. So it's like, do we get on the A train for an hour and 20 minutes, or do we get a cab? And I was like, nah, I'm tripping way too hard. We're going to walk for a while.
Honestly, that's pretty
That's
smart.
probably
And it was like,
idea.
it was in the fall, so the weather was really nice. And like,
Yeah.
we're just walking, and me and my friends, we walked for like 40-ish blocks, probably at least, just giggling and laughing and having like the best
Oh,
time.
that's
Yeah.
great. Yeah, that's so
It was
much better
so-
than the other two.
It was so awesome. Then, you know, like a couple hours later, we got in the cab and went home, and it was so great. And I wasn't living at that house yet, but it's the house I live at. And so all the boys were there, and they were like, it was like I was at the best stand-up show of my life because everything I said, they were cracking up at.
Oh, yeah.
And so, you know, that feeds me being a comedian. You know how that is. I'm just like in it, and we're having and one of the guys came home who lived there, but was sober because he'd just gotten off work, was just like, oh, I can't be around you guys right now. You guys are on a whole nother level.
You don't realize this, but none of this is funny.
I know, like you're talking gibberish and they're laughing at you, but I don't know. Do you remember when he said bar and grill? Do you guys? It's funny because this came up. We said we're like talking about. We've been taking topic submissions from listeners. And
Oh yeah, and we've yet to. Well, we did them by accident.
by accident. Well, we could do one. One of them is like psychedelic stories.
Oh, I do have plenty of those.
Yeah, like, and I just accidentally told one. We
Yeah.
could go on that.
I
route.
have more psychedelic stories than I do stories about shitting my pants.
Well,
I do also, but it's a stiff competition, and sometimes they intervene.
intermingle.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I am a fan, especially when I was younger, a huge fan of psychedelics.
Likewise.
When
yeah.
I was younger, that's a great thing.
In college, although here I'll go off of yours because this is an acid one, but I didn't do acid until after college. And the things that I remember most was I think we like maybe just like. So we were trying to take a cab to Sonic Vision. Do you guys?
No, what's
they don't
that?
have this anymore. But it's basically it's franchised, but they don't have it. It used to be at the Hayden Planetarium. It was a music mix by Moby, but it wasn't all Moby. It was him. It was like Prodigy and like all sorts of cool stuff.
Oh, people to make
And-
it cool.
Yeah, and it was Moby got a bunch of cool people together. But it was like a laser light show. Like, do you remember Winamp visualizations?
Yes, it was like
it was
that.
like that, but on steroids.
Oh, is it the planetarium?
Yeah, at the Hayden Planetarium.
Yeah.
And I used
That
to.
sounds sick.
It was honestly, it was awesome. It's like 30 or 40 minutes long, not super long. But when I first found out about it, I was like, a teenager. And all the time we would go get high in Central Park or like eat brownies
Yeah.
and then go see this show. This was for a while when I moved to New York, my like go-to first date. Real make or break situation.
At least you know you're setting the fucking gauntlet down.
Exactly.
You're
And I really did have a bunch of first dates on this, some of which went well, some of which not as well. But it's an awesome show. And so we took acid.
yeah.
We were already tripping when we left, and I know that. I wasn't sure, but I know that because we didn't make it there. We did eventually, but we took a cab. I have no idea to where or how. Like, somehow we were confused, and we left the cab, and we got him to drop us off early. Then we were like, well, walk the rest of the way. I know we made it there, and I have a distinct memory of getting tickets and the person at the booth being like, are you sure you want to do this right now? And I remember being like, yeah, we'll be all right. But I must have like really had like, what do you call it? like Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas kind of posture.
Oh, yeah.
But the cool thing about it was we were definitely, or at least I was peaking during the show, and it's so much input. It's so much visual, like on acid. It was fucking awesome, but it's so much that by the time and this is my first time doing an acid, but I, tripped on other stuff before, but that by the time we left, it was just like New York. It was really easy to handle walking around New York City. Like, you know what I mean? Like, normally tripping around in New York City is a little bit overwhelming too. Like, I've definitely been in like where I was in Central Park or something. You just need to like sit against a tree for a while and chill. But after this laser light show, New York is just kind of like a slow. It's like you're in a rural area or something.
Yeah, right.
I was just inside the Matrix. New York is nothing.
Sorry.
No, I was gonna say, they used to do when I was a kid at the planetarium. They would do like the Pink Floyd.
Yeah.
Laser light show all the
I
time.
always wanted to go see that,
Yeah.
but like I never could because I was too busy spending that money on weed to listen to Pink Floyd in my car.
Yeah. If you just saved up, you could have gotten high and listened to Pink Floyd.
Yeah.
the planetarium.
Honestly, I kind of phased out for a second there because I just had a flashback of what it used to feel like to do acid, and it made me physically ill. Because I did a lot of acid when I was young. And because once I find something cool, I really like it a lot.
Like to beat it into the ground.
Yeah. The first time I ever took acid, I was on mescaline.
Oh, that sentence is really. You should just tweet that on its own.
Oh, okay. Well,
Comma
great
after acid.
yeah,
That's such a short
That's what
joke.
maybe we should title this episode.
me and three friends had this big, giant, solid tab of mescaline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
First time ever on acid. And it couldn't have been, I mean, like, if I could go back and relive that day again, I know it sounds like a real drug fiend thing to do, but it was like, it was the experience you're supposed to have when you take psychedelics.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it was my friend, she had this like she lived in a steeple room. Like if you ever see those houses that's, at the top, it comes to a point.
I tripped in a room like that in Amsterdam before.
Yeah. So she
Very
had
neat.
like blue, like different shades of blue with all different glitter and sparkles throughout it, and then dim lighting, and then it was also come through in the daylight, but she would shut the curtains and light everything up. You just lay there, and it's like you're looking at the night like stars, but you're indoors. And I was like, I don't even think this is really working. And then that Cardigans album. Remember that band? The Cardigans?
Yeah.
That one big
That
one.
was a good
love
me, say that
that
you
album,
love me.
right? And
But they had an Iron Man cover that was really dope.
Exactly. And so that's the whole thing. Is like, I'm like, I wouldn't listen to this bitch shit. And I was like, wait a minute. Let me give this like a try. And I was on acid.
You're like crying.
Yeah, no, it was so
I'm
great.
a bitch.
Because they're actually outside of that hit. They are some like decent, like good musicians, and they composed some like other good songs and did things in a way that I was like, this is actually fucking cool. It had like some chimes in it and stuff, which was like, so my low expectations of their music combined with the room, the atmosphere, and the acid led to like this great discovery about like my life or whatever.
And that's why you have a Cardigans tattoo, right?
Oh yeah. And it was like she had like different types of paint in her fucking bathroom and all this shit. It was all just moving and everything. And you're just like, this is like what it's supposed to be. And then I spent the next like 18 to 24 months chasing that to the point where I'd be like, I'm going to take like just 5 hits of acid.
Ooh, you got that
and
far.
See
huh?
if this like works, and like my head would be hurting like later in the day, and people would be like, "What the fuck is wrong with you, dude?" Like seriously, with the fucking acid,
Yeah.
Did you guys ever do DMT?
Yes. And
No.
actually, the first thing I ever tripped on was ayahuasca, which is
Holy
DMT.
shit, yeah.
I know that this is one of those
You
stories that
skipped right ahead.
interweaves. I didn't shit myself, but I did pee my pants.
Oh man, I saw somebody take one of them toad licking things or whatever in the jungle. Somebody was being filmed for a Netflix show or whatever. My wife was watching it, and he just spazzed the fuck out, and he was like, for like 10 minutes he was like convulsing or whatever, and then he wakes up and he was like, that was amazing. And I'm like, that looks like you're gonna die. And like I feel like that's like that. I wish I hadn't seen that, because now I don't want to do
You don't want to look like that regardless of how you
oh
might
my God,
feel.
that
at
would
the
be
time.
so if you could see me
Yeah, it doesn't
Whatever.
look like a
I would
person.
laugh my ass off.
It doesn't
at
look
that.
like a person in control of his faculties.
I tried
Right.
when I want to hear this story, but when I did DMT for the first time, we tried to film it. And you're like, why film? You watch it, and it's like literally me sitting there crying silently, and then you come back
Being
and
honest and forthright.
yeah, right. I'm
Dude,
like,
set it to some French song, submit it to a festival.
I was like,
Yeah.
I really, when I came back, DMT is wonderful, but I was like, when I came back, I was like, why is my face all wet? Oh, because I've been crying.
Right. See, that's the thing is, I think I'm okay. Like, I just don't.
In terms of having more of those experiences.
yeah, like mushrooms is the most I do, and that's because it's recommended for veterans. I've read reports. And I'm like, okay, it sounds like this is a good idea for me.
I think that's ketamine.
It's mushrooms though too. Well, they do the ketamine thing, but I'm
Blow
like,
every
ke-
once in a while.
ketamine is too much of a drug. Mushrooms are still like in the fairy world,
in
you
Yeah.
know, like,
nature, yeah.
well, I'm
It's
a
legal
I'm
and
a
it's legal in
pseudo-hippie.
some places.
Well,
you
the
know.
thing with mushrooms also I found is that you don't really want to do mushrooms again, at least for me, after a trip. Like the next day I feel kind of that like afterglow or whatever.
Yeah.
And you're like, but you're like, I'm good. I don't have an urge to like do mushrooms again right away.
Right.
Even though in college I did them a fair amount of times, but it was like time had passed and I've been like, oh, I could go for a trip.
Yeah.
I'm taking my shirt off.
Oh,
It's
go
hot
for
here.
it. We have well, and that's the other thing too is like I also haven't like been on any kind of psychedelic around
Take it in.
around
Take it.
another
Did the camera
person.
just switch to night mode when he took his shirt off? Is that what?
It probably does.
So there-
Now,
Um,
if somebody just takes a still of this, it looks like a white power.
Oh my
podcast.
God. Jesus Christ.
I'm just kidding. I'm about to sleeve it up myself, but
Uh-oh.
so oh, I forgot what I was saying. Oh, ketamine seems too much like real drugs. Like that's not
I
like
mean, it is,
prescribed
yeah.
to veterans
right,
or
right.
whatever.
Versus mushrooms are, it's from the earth. I feel a little bit
Holistic
better
and,
about
yeah.
that. Like the stakes are lower. It's not as
I will say I don't adhere to the from the earth. I know that's not solely what you mean, but a lot of people say that where they're
Yeah.
like, "Oh, I won't touch acid, but I'll do mushrooms because it's natural." And it's like poisons exist in nature. Like that doesn't feel. There's shit that
Right.
kills you in nature, and there's shit we make. Again, not that acid is even that, but there's shit that we make that's like, oh, this is designed to like do shit without fucking you up in other ways.
see. I'm real averse to pharmaceuticals.
Yeah, I feel you on that.
I got
Yeah.
a prescription I haven't fulfilled yet for a week.
But I wouldn't be religious about it. You just got to know when they have ulterior motives and bad incentives.
Sure.
I'm just saying.
I just feel like people are sometimes like.
Vaccines are safe, Derek. That's all I'm saying.
I just think sometimes people are pussies, and
Sometimes you
If-
got to go
if you
through the
just-
pain.
if you just don't be like some of the people I see complaining about needing health insurance are fat ass losers, and like it's
Go
like
off.
I'm just saying like you wouldn't have to worry about it as much if you took care of the biggest underlying problem of your life, which isn't in your control.
Right.
Like to some extent, there are people like even myself. It's like at this age or whatever, it's very hard to lose weight. But I can make a more concerted effort at doing it. I know there are steps to do so, and I'm trying to. You know what I mean? I also
Right.
don't blame anybody else.
Society.
I did get spicy chicken nuggets from McDonald's today.
Yeah.
I don't blame you. You're hungover,
Today.
but you wear it.
You've been
well.
a good boy. You deserve it.
I have been a good boy, and it was nice. It was a nice treat,
Yeah.
you know.
I think it varies from person to person, but I agree with you definitely in the type of person where they are not doing the things that are within their control, that are within reason, but being vocal as a way of externalizing internal problems and projecting that on society or whatever.
Correct.
Um,
That's why I don't do
well, no, the thing is like
And that's why I won't take aspirin.
the pharmaceutical industry is so fucked. It's crazy how they've like literally murdered people for profit. But that being said, like some shit's pretty dope.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the thing.
Viagra's
Well,
amazing.
I will
Oh,
say,
yeah.
again, I'm suspect in the same way
Morphine's
over
sick.
the incentives in the industry, but I think a lot of people don't. A lot of people dismiss the amount that goes into like just how much money it is to develop any fucking drug, basically.
Yeah.
So, like, you know, that's why they also get away with so much bullshit, because they're able to, like, use that as leverage and exaggerate it, or, you know, do a lot of other. It's like run as a finance company. I think I was listening to a podcast about this, or maybe I'm making it up, but a lot of them, a lot of them are run as more as like a financial entity.
I mean,
than
they all are. Yeah.
But like specifically the way they do the books, it was a specific distinction made where it's run less like a company that produces a physical good and more like a hedge fund or something, where like it takes such massive amounts of resources to invest up top, and then if the drug is no good, you got nothing. That like it has to be run in this way where like all these different risks are hedged among each other in order to even make it a sustainable business, unless you just get lucky and fucking cure cancer, you know?
Yeah.
That's fucking stupid as shit. I think you should give them the fucking...
What you just said is a bunch of bullshit.
not the fact that you said it or that you're wrong, but the way that the whole thing operates.
The way that the words came out your mouth.
No, I think if you just want to get a tin of opium and smoke it because it makes you feel better, do you? We'll have
Fair.
good poets again finally. You know, like fucking A.
That's been the problem.
How else was the detective supposed to catch Jack the Ripper?
Yeah. Somebody gives
The
Seth
fucking Deep
Simons
from Hell.
Give Seth
reference.
Simons some heroin so his poetry starts rocking.
Oh, dude, I can't wait to hear his bird ass.
Yeah, but on heroin, I bet it'll be beautiful.
Dude, they made the SNL announcements today. Speaking of Seth Simons,
They made what?
they made like they said, oh, these are the people who got to like be on the show this year.
Oh, did Seth make it?
No, but he's got to be doing his homework now.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, for sure.
I didn't get it. I was.
Were you going out for it? Were you going out for
every year,
SNL?
it's a reminder. I really want a thing that I never thought I wanted.
Yeah.
And
I'm sort of the opposite. I stopped submitting.
Do you remember? One of my favorite memories. And it was just like for a weekend. Memories of New York comedy was, you know, we all like go out so many shows back before COVID. You see so many shows, but it was like the weekend after Brooks Wheelan got fired from SNL.
Oh yeah.
And I saw him like 3 or 4 times that weekend, and he just was the shell of a man he once was. He's figured it out since, but like just that it was literally like he had just gotten fired and he was doing sets, and he was like, oh, I got fired from the hardest job in the world. Oh, I'm not Will Ferrell. Like he's having like mental breakdowns on stage, and it was so fun to watch.
Are you sure it wasn't a bit?
Yeah,
no, because it wasn't funny enough to. When I saw it in its infancy, it might have become a bit.
Yeah,
because this was like literally
but at the
a
time,
couple days after.
Just going through it.
He was just
sincerely.
going through it on stage, and I happened to run into him a bunch. I don't know the guy, you know, I just know him from around.
Right.
And I just happened to run into him like 3 times that weekend, or be on a show or at a show he was on, and it was uncomfortable for the audience, and I was loving every second of it. I thought it was so funny.
Oh yeah, I love
schadenfreude.
watching that sort of thing. I love watching that and a good bomb, and then somebody killing. Other than that, if somebody's just
like the middle of the road, like temperate, like you're like,
yeah, I don't want to sit through this. But if somebody's really eating shit bad,
you want to eat shit to the point where it's interesting again, you know?
Yeah.
it comes full circle.
Yeah.
Right, till somebody just like lays it out there, and they're like, I don't want to do this anymore.
You just eat shit enough and it's funny just to nobody who was in that room.
Did you ever finish telling the ayahuasca story?
Sorry.
Oh, well.
No, I just want to hear it because that's so like cavalier to do ayahuasca as your first psychedelic. That's like 201 for sure.
Since then, I would like go on Arrowhead and stuff when I did different drugs. But at that point, I'd never tripped before, and I really thought I was gonna get like really high. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I really didn't do my homework too much, but my buddy who, how did I mention him before? Oh, he's the one that had the strip club addiction. But he made it in my parents' kitchen.
Oh yeah.
With so it's DMT and monoamine reuptake inhibitors.
Yeah.
And you mix them. I forget how he cooked them, but on the stove, we drank it. It tastes like dirt. You want to spit it out immediately, which one of the 4 of us did, and he never tripped actually. And then I'll I'll tell you, I only remember a few things because it's like
I heard that's the thing is you don't remember much.
it's been a long time. I remember a few like basic like lessons or things that I got out of it, and I remember a few visuals. I remember so this is what I remember. I remember throwing up, looking down, and my hands looking green, and like I didn't think I was tripping yet. I had not been tripping yet. I look in the mirror. My face is green. I'm like, oh no, and then I look around. I'm like, oh, everything's green. Oh, I guess I'm experiencing, an effect of the ayahuasca. So then I'm like, my parents were upstairs. I think they were.
That's crazy.
They'd gone to sleep or
wild.
whatever. But I, at that point, was like, okay, I don't know where this is gonna go. I don't want to be home. So I was with 3 friends.
Yeah.
One of them never tripped. The other one, we went to his house, and he drove, and he wasn't tripping yet. And and as we're driving, I remember like trees starting to melt away, and I was like, "Are you where I am?" Because like you should not be driving. And he's like, "No, I'm honestly not feeling anything." I was like, "Okay." So then we get to the parking lot outside of his apartment complex, or in his apartment complex outside his apartment, and I collapsed.
Oh, Jesus.
And that's when, but not in like, they were with me. They like caught me and stuff. But basically they like walked around with me for a little bit. I went full trip mode. I didn't know I collapsed. They told me this later.
Yeah.
I'm like tripping. And at that point, like it was really, it was long. It was like 8 or 9 hours.
I'm just thinking about that and I'm like, no.
But
no
I at the
way.
time like really had like certain things that worked out where I realized like certain things I was appreciative of and people in my life and stuff. And like, I remember there being just this tunnel vision where I couldn't tell. It was like full on, like everything else I've ever done, like acid, shrooms, fucking whatever. It's like reality is being altered. In ayahuasca, it was like truly, I don't know what's reality and what's my mind manifesting something. Like I was like, am I talking to my friend Paul, or is this me, manifesting him in my mind or whatever? And so that was like 8 or 9 hours, right?
Yeah.
And then and my buddy who'd done it before, again, like didn't trip. Like he basically suppressed his trip to take care of me. And then as soon as mine started coming down, my other friend who drove us there, only then did he kind of start tripping. And he actually had a really rough trip. And like, I just remember him being like worried about everybody. It just seemed like we didn't know, he like got bad news about something at the time. And then when we were both done, the one who'd cooked the stuff and had done it before and stuff, like he basically suppressed his trip to like take care of us.
everyone.
Yeah,
Oof.
which I've seen happen. I've had that happen.
No, it's funny how that works. I had this crazy bad trip when I've had in the last 20 years, I've had mostly good trips. I feel like it's been really
I've
therapeutic.
never had a bad trip.
I've only had, this is like the one really bad one I have, and it was just foolish because we were so young. I was like 20 years old.
Yeah.
And I had done mushrooms a few times before, right? And I remember we set up, we're going to do mushrooms. We were going to do a quarter each, right? And then as we're at my friend's house.
That's your first time you said? Or no, you said
No,
you did
I
a
had done
couple?
it. This is probably like my, let's say, third time.
Yeah, you're going to double up on your third time.
Double up on the third time. We're like, oh, this is great. And I'm with a bunch of my buddies, like guys I grew up with, and like, but we go to our one friend's house, and first of all, you learn all these lessons. Like, you got to be in a place that's comfortable.
Right.
Right. My friend's house was filthy, and he had cats. It was just like very uncomfortable. But I didn't even think that this was going to be an issue. And one of the guys backed out and didn't show up. So we basically ate a half.
Yep. I've done that
We
before.
ate like a half each, which is a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've never eaten
That
that.
it's too much.
I've done that much and tried to
You
drive.
don't say.
Yeah, it's too much. And we were like young and adventurous. Like I said, this was 20 years ago. And we all ate it. And it was like the pile was so big and just forcing ourselves to eat it. And we're having a good time. And then there was a moment where it just got really nasty and it turned. And one of the guys that was there like turned and got bad vibes and got borderline violent and was doing this thing where I look over, we're all sitting on a couch, and I was like, I look over at him, and his eyes are so dilated, he looks like a demon, and he like full mounts our other friend and is like grabbing him by his collar, and he's like, why won't you listen to me? I have so much I can teach you. There's so many things I can teach you. Why won't you listen to me? And he like looks over at me, and his like eyes are just so dilated, so black. I was like, I'm fucking out of here. And so I leave.
Yeah.
I leave and I go walk around the block. Who knows how long I got? I'm like hallucinating, branches are snakes trying to get me, and it's still the sky. It's still daylight.
Yeah.
The clouds are like trying to fucking jerk me off, and like I don't know. I'm having like a crazy
I think
time.
said it was a bad trip.
That part was all right. Like
Yeah.
it was like God was trying to give me a handy.
This will calm you down, you horny little bastard.
And so I go back to the house. Who knows how much time has passed? I couldn't tell you. And I go back to the house, and everyone's gone, but the door's wide open.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, oh shit. And we're in like East Side Tucson, so we're like in the kind of the suburbs, kind of. You know, it's all like those like 70s style planned communities type shit.
I see.
And so I go back in there, and I'm like,
Beautiful.
right? It's so
America.
gross. And I go back in the house, and I'm like, where is it? I'm still tripping super hard.
Yeah.
And I hear crying. I hear someone crying.
Oh no.
And I'm like, oh no. And I think maybe the one who turned bad like hurt someone.
Right.
And I see like a hand under a desk. And I go around, and it's like my friend who's all curled up, and he's crying. I was like, hey man, it's okay. What's going on? Where is everybody? Are you okay?
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm okay, but it was so. And he like started, and I couldn't understand what he was saying. And he was like, oh no, it got bad. And like this other guy, I don't want to say anyone's names.
Yeah.
I
avoided it too, and then I fucked up and said it. I was like, all right, whatever.
But he was like the one who turned into a demon, I guess, got really bad and started tearing the house up. And so the guy whose house it was left, and then he left, and my other friend who was hid under the table and was like traumatized. And I was like, okay, no. And I was like, okay, I need to take care of you. Come with me.
Oh man.
Yeah.
You come with me, and we're gonna go. And
put him under your bosom.
I did. I kind of carried him, and at this point, like we were just walking around the desert, and the neighborhood it was right near the edge of town too, kind of. So there was a desert not that far, and a park, and we're walking around, and I kind of get into the same thing. I'm kind of taking care of him, though I'm still fucking hallucinating. Watch out for that snake.
Right.
You're gonna be
right.
okay. And but so we're like, okay, we don't have a car or anything, and the sun's starting to come up. So I'm like, all right, let's go down to there's a Subway that's 24 hours, like a Subway sandwich shop.
Yeah.
And I was like, let's go down there. We'll get maybe some food will help, and I'll call someone to come pick us up, you know. And as we're walking, we just leave, and I don't know, the other two guys disappeared, right?
Yeah.
And we go, and as we're walking, and it's like dusk, right? And we've been tripping for hours, like all night long, and we're walking, and this fucking pickup truck, like, skirts off the road and right in front of us, and the guy goes, hey, you guys see a guy walk by here with a chainsaw and a VCR?
Jesus Christ.
I'm like, what the fuck? And he goes, yeah, a guy, I'm looking for a guy. He had a chainsaw and a VCR.
I guess the question is, can you operate a chainsaw with one hand?
And I'm just like,
starting with your teeth.
and I'm like, no. What the and my friend, I almost said his name. He's still like he's still like traumatized from whatever he saw, which I still don't know exactly what happened in the house when I left. But I'm like, no, man, get out. This guy kind of gives me that look, and maybe I'm just tripping, but he gives me that look like he knows, and he's drinking a beer, and it's dawn.
Yeah.
And he's drinking a beer, driving. Look, and I was like, no, man, and I was like, we got to get the fuck out of here. Yeah. And we go to the Subway, and worst case scenario, we open the door and there are two friends of my friend's girlfriend in there. And we're like, oh man, you see someone you know when you're deep into this, and it's so bad. Right. And he hangs off the door, and he's like, I love Cassie very much. His girlfriend, he's like, I love Cassie very, like screams it into this restaurant with the only two people in there are people we know that he knows are her friends. And I'm like, oh my God. This is fucking terrible. What a nightmare. And I finally was like, I called my girlfriend at the time who I was living with. And she's like, she's furious. But she's like, sure, I'll come pick you up. And as she comes to pick us up, I get a call from the demon guy. And at this point, we're kind of coming down.
Uh-huh.
It's been hours.
So things are starting to make sense.
Things are starting to make a little more sense.
You've seen your phone already as a demon guy.
And I'm just like, I was like, I was like, I got to think of some story to tell her, and we can't be that fucked up because she didn't know we're tripping. Like she's gonna know. She's gonna know I'm freaking out. I'm scared of my girlfriend at the time. And I get a call from the demon guy, and he's like, hey, I'm at the house. Where are you guys? Like, we're down the street. My girl's coming to pick me up. And he's like, cool. Can you give me a ride home? And I'm like, and I say yes.
No.
So she comes, picks us up. We go pick him up. And
And now your buddy's got to face him.
yeah, and everybody's fine. It's the car ride is silent. She's furious. He's terrified. This dude's the devil. And I'm just like, what did I just do to myself?
Right.
And everyone goes home. She's so mad at me. I got to sleep on the couch. It's bad, you know. And the next day, the demon guy went out to dinner with his family at Joe's Crab Shack and got anaphylactic shock from shellfish and almost died. Went to the hospital. So that's 2 days in a row. Dude, his brain was fried after that. He was a completely different person.
Yeah,
Wow.
see, that's why I don't fuck with that.
Dude.
How did he not know he was allergic?
It was like a late onset thing. He had eaten shrimp before. And it just, I don't know, the
Wow.
combination of the two, he became 100% a different person.
I thought you were going to be like, see, that's why I don't fuck with shellfish.
That's why I don't fuck with shellfish.
That and because my religious beliefs. Man, the only time, I got arrested once on acid.
Oh, no, what a nightmare.
Yeah. And I was 18.
Bury that lead.
I know. Well, I was 18 at the time, and they put a hotel up next to our high school in this small town in Ohio.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why would they do that? We're just going to go there, you know? So sure as shit, we got a fucking hotel party where like this one dude was a freshman in college and he was dating a senior. So he came back and got the room, and then me and another like dude who was 19, and then I was 18. And then everybody else was like 16, 17.
Yeah. It was like a high school party, you know.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I was only
Nothing
older.
creepy, guys.
Dazed
Calm
and
down.
confused.
Yeah. I had another friend or two who were older, but they just weren't at this party.
Right.
And so we had a tub full of beer. We had a fucking ounce of weed, bunch of acid, and then like a little bag of Coke or whatever. And the weed and the Coke was on a tray, like on the hotel fucking
You're
tray.
saying this to lay out like, these are details you're going to need.
Yeah. So so nobody showed up at the party with acid. They got it from another dude who was staying in the hotel. And this dude, check this out. I used to go to school with this dude at another school.
Oh, weird.
His name's Steve Schwartz. And
We were both like, I'm going to avoid the name. He's like, I'm going
Here's
full
the thing.
name.
Here's the
He
thing.
sells acid.
this hotel is new, and there are like 4 guests in the entire hotel.
Yeah.
2 of them just in this small town in Ohio, and 2 of them just happen to be a couple of former. This is a kid I used to get suspended with all the time in school because we were both shithead kids, and like we weren't friends. In fact, he wanted to fight me because he used to do karate. And so that was his thing. Was he would bully the other kids. He was like a kickboxer or whatever.
He was like Cobra Kai.
Yeah, he was. He was
gonna say.
OG Cobra Kai. He wanted to fight me one time at a school blacktop or whatever. He's like, "Be there at 3." I'm like, "Okay." Thanks for telling me where not to go tomorrow. I'm not gonna.
I know. I could have totally avoided you.
Yeah, I'm not gonna try to fight you and get kickboxed by you. Anyway, so he went to juvie or whatever, but he was also a year older, and he just happened to be at this hotel with a party full of fucking young people.
Yeah.
And he was even a year older than me. And most of these were like dumb fucking girls. So anyway, so he happened to have acid there. And one of our friends bought it from him. And that's how we obtained the acid. We all took the acid or whatever. And for the first like 45 minutes, I'm like, this ain't really doing shit. You know what I mean? We're about ready to smoke this huge ass joint. We're drinking all these beers and everything. And then all of a sudden you hear fucking knock, knock, knock.
Oh, no. What a nightmare.
Yeah. And the fucking police were like, hey, police are here. Open up the door or else, we're coming in. They had the hotel manager there. And
Were you being loud or smoking inside?
Here's the thing. Steve Schwartz's party was a couple floors down, and it was close to whoever else was staying in the hotel because they complained about it. And he was the one that they actually called the fucking cops on. But then the cops could also hear our commotion going on as
the
well.
hotel's full of parties.
Right. It was full of 2 fucking high school fucking parties, right? And so this one cop came in, and he was dipshit, fucking flat top hair, and he looked like Alf. Which later on, when you start tripping and you think he looks like Alf, it's so hard to hide a smile when you're in processing and you're like, So anyway, so he walks in and he's like, oh, it seems like we got ourselves a little party going on here or whatever. Thankfully, nobody had sparked the fucking joint, right? And he looked inside the tub, whole tub full of fucking beer. He's like, oh, you guys really outdid yourself and everything, So then he starts opening up the fucking the drawers, right? And one of the people had stashed that fucking plate, that tray with all the drugs on it, in the bottom lower right hand one. Before he got to the lower right hand one, my friend Erica stuck out her bag and she goes, "You can check my bag, here, just like let's get this process started, sort of thing."
Yeah.
And it stopped him from fucking opening that shit up because there was still some acid that was left on there. There's cocaine and there's weed. That would have been we would have been like fucking sent up. Like I was 18.
Pro move on her
I was
part.
I was a senior at the time.
Yeah.
It was like my last like few months of being in school. And so all they did was like, okay, well, we're going to take you in for partying or whatever. Underage consumption was what I was charged with. And we were all put in the back of a paddy wagon. And with these dumb girls who were still like drunk or whatever. Initially cuffed, but I was like, come on, man. Like, we're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You like got us. I actually kind of forget. So, anyway, so then these other dumb girls were inside the paddy wagon. Yeah, we were cuffed because nobody was fighting. And we were in these other dumb girls. And then my friend Erica, the one who had done that, she just like got real mad at these girls. And she started hissing at them or whatever. And I was like, that's peculiar that she's doing that. Then the paddy wagon started to move. And that's when the acid came in.
No.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, no. I am tripping on my way to jail.
Oh, what a nightmare.
Yeah. So thankfully, this guy kept coming in. We got taken to holding or whatever, and the younger people, their parents were called. We were all allowed a phone call, but I was like, I'm just going to leave with whoever's parents comes to pick up whoever.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, or actually at that point, what they had said, though, was like, well, me and the two other guys and were 18 or above, so we all got out of it, and so did like two other people. But then my friend's parents had to come pick them up. And every time this guy walked in the room and explained something, I'd look at him and I kept waiting for him to be like, ha, I kill me. Like Alf did or whatever. So what ended up happening was that I didn't even call my parents because I was like, I'm not going to try and I'm not even going to tell them this happened.
Right.
If I get let go, or if I spend the night in jail, it's like I was already supposed to spend the night at the hotel. I don't have to tell them this shit. And so they ended up letting us go. We got out. We went and got our cars. We went to Denny's, and then we got another hotel room. And we just partied at that hotel room.
That's so funny.
at a fucking Nights Inn along the highway.
To be young.
To be what? And like what? Hotel parties are like the dumbest thing ever because I've never even heard of one not getting busted. It's like you're literally hotel people are fucking narcs, man. They're there to sleep.
I've been in hotel parties.
Have you?
Not busted. Yeah.
One time, this was so funny to me, and this was funny because it was a hotel I worked at. I worked in the restaurant that was connected to the hotel, but I worked there for years, and then I worked in the bar place I worked for many years. One of my friends, this is so many fucking years ago, we were having like a bachelor party for him, and we went bar hopping in the rooms like, oh, this hotel's right downtown, so we're like, get a room at the hotel, and we're all hanging out and everything, and everyone's wasted, and one of our friends like, let's get a hooker.
Oh no!
And I was like, this feels like every bad movie
To a hotel?
to a hotel, and
Never.
I'm like, oh, this just seems like a bad idea.
Like Jodie Foster shows up.
I'm just like, oh god, yeah, it's like something. And so he's
Something
on
gross.
it's when Backpage was still a thing, right?
Yeah.
And so he's on, and mind you, it's like
Shout out to Ian Fidance.
Because of Backpage or because
Because of Backpage.
Yeah.
He's talking about it more than anybody I've ever met.
and so we're fucking on there, and like, I mean,
Did he
he's on there.
get the idea? Does he get hookers, or was he like, I'm in a hotel. This is what people do in hotels.
It was like
Yeah.
it was a friend of he was my buddy, but I was closer with his friends
Yeah, I
Gotcha.
see.
than him.
You
And
don't
so-
know where to place him.
Yeah, and so we're all hanging out, and he's like fucking. He finally gets a hold of somebody. It's like 3:00 in the morning, And I'm like, oh, do I dip or do I kind of want to stay? Because I feel a little uncomfortable. But I'm like, do I dip or do I just wait and see what happens? And it's funny because like we all knew the front desk guy because a few of us worked there. Like we knew, it was like we know these people. We're not in. There's no strangers involved. We know everybody.
Yeah.
And we're waiting. And we're fucking drinking in there and partying. And the phone rings. The hotel phone, the room phone rings, and our buddy, who's the front desk guy, is screaming at the other guy that works there, who's with us, and he goes, I just always remember, he's like, I'm not saying shit. I'm letting you guys party in there, and if you're gonna call a legitimate masseuse at 3 o'clock in the morning, you might want to do a little fucking research because now she's pissed off at me, and she's a legitimate masseuse. Why would you call a legitimate? He kept saying legitimate masseuse at 3 o'clock, and then I was like, to be fair. Like I try to be diplomat. To be fair, what kind of legitimate masseuse answers the phone at 3 o'clock in the morning?
Right, no kidding.
Like. And so it just like totally crushed the party vibes, but like everybody went home. But I was
no
like,
legitimate massages.
No. I think someone gave her like $50. Was like, sorry for your troubles. Like,
sorry for waking you up in the middle of the night. Here's $50.
But I was like,
she's done worse.
Yeah.
But it was so funny because I was like, nah, I got this hotel room that's paid for to myself. I'm just gonna stay here. And then then I'm just laying there and I'm like, I'm gonna call every like ex-girlfriend or like hookup that I was like, somebody's gonna come through, and I like texted a few people, and then I was like, I passed out, went to sleep. There wasn't having the fun, but the whole time every time I saw that guy for a while, I'd be like, fucking legitimate masseuse, am I right? I'd screaming, if you're gonna call a legitimate masseuse at 3 o'clock in the morning.
I know, because they probably don't want people thinking there's hookers coming to the hotel.
Yeah.
So he's like really going out of his way in case the neighbors are listening.
Right?
I know that legitimate masseuse, and let me tell you, she's not that good at legitimate massages.
So I got community service for
that one?
Yeah, for when I got arrested at the hotel. And the thing was, I still hadn't told my parents, right? And so I had been going and like meeting with lawyers or whatever. And then like one night I was like, hey, I was dressed up like kind of nice. I was like wearing a collared shirt and Dockers. And they're like, oh, what are you doing? I was like, oh, I'm going to Young Life. But really, I was going to court.
Wait, what's Young Life?
Young Life was like a Christian enthusiasm group.
Like a youth group type shit.
Yeah, kind of, or what, along those lines. Like, it was definitely like Jesus is your friend.
Yeah, like
it's
the cool church.
Yeah, it's the grooming stages for church.
Yeah.
I
used, go ahead and finish your story. I'll tell you afterwards.
Yeah. So anyway, so I had to go to court. And it was evening court. It was like 5 o'clock court or whatever, which was kind of odd for our town, but great. They accommodated me greatly, and because I didn't have to miss school. Yeah. I just went to court, and
you were a senior. It's important.
And they were like, "So how do you plead?" And I was like, "Nah, no contest." Which was that was just what I was told to do.
Yeah.
And by some dipshit lawyer, which I ended up not paying because it didn't work. And then the judge was like, do your parents know that you're going through this? He's like, because I could sentence you to like a month in jail. Right. So do they know that you're here or whatever? And I was like, I mean, why would my parents knowing make a difference as to the degree to what the crime was that I committed?
Right.
It's at your discretion that I should go to jail for a month for having a beer at fucking 18 years old. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, or, I mean, I guess it's like, my parents, I mean, that is the law. That's the unfortunate like aspect of it. But it's like, I'm like, well, I guess I should go tell my parents. And then they had me come in again after I completed, I got sentenced to community service.
Wait, so did you tell your parents?
Oh, yeah. So I went home that night and I told my parents. My mom's like, so you didn't go to Young Life?
You were being such a good Catholic
Yeah, they're
boy.
like, we thought you were turning into a good kid. And it's like clear that you're. It's like I'm almost
How old
like.
were you again?
I was 18. It was spring of 97.
I could see a judge doing that because like you're not legally required because you're an adult. But if you're 18, your like rate of recidivism might be lower if your parents are involved in your life.
Sure, but
not that you did a real crime.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
If you did a real crime.
Yeah, I mean, well, also the thing where it was kind of legitimate. It was like, is contributing to the delinquency of a minor was, I think, also on the charge.
Oh, yeah,
no, I'm sorry. I was charged with underage consumption because I wasn't old enough to buy.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like I was contributing to their delinquency. We were all being contributed
I got
to.
that before, but I wasn't technically arrested. Like I was never it was park rangers.
Oh,
Yeah.
my name was in the paper. I went to the bank and somebody recognized me from you're Derek Humphrey. Did you get arrested?
Did you have a photo?
Yeah, they put.
What did they put in like
no,
a warrant?
No, it was just a name. But so I was at the bank, and then this guy read the paper, and then he saw my name come through.
Really?
Yeah, because I had to go see him. I went to the teller. He was my teller. He was
Yeah.
like, "He's the same Derek Humphrey that
I
was
see.
arrested
Oh,
over at."
wow.
And I'm like, "Yeah, this is pre-internet.
Yeah.
Somebody just you can
Saw
shame people through the old ways."
Yeah.
It took a
know?
lot
But
more
it was-
work to shame
It was
people that way.
manageable too.
Yeah,
you know?
I don't know why it was anybody.
Shame me to my face.
See, so if I hadn't told my parents and that's how they found out.
Yeah, that would have been an
Yeah.
ass
Yeah,
whooping.
it's true. My parents never found out about that. I had a couple like that where they never found out, and that was one. And I intercepted the mail, I believe. I think that's how I.
I used
got it
to-
from them.
I used to cruise youth groups when I was young.
cruise for.
I used to go to make out with chicks.
Yeah.
Oh, it was great. The
you know they're repressed in there.
They're
the
looking for
the Church of Latter-day Saint, the Mormon
boy.
one was the best one.
Oh
Yeah.
my God!
Those
you know,
girls were so much fun.
I don't know if
Woo!
we have enough time, but remind me on a future one. I got a whole story about a homeless guy I became friends with because we smoked weed together on my stoop,
Yeah.
and then I ended up inviting him upstairs, and we became buddies. And he was right. They don't like to be called Mormon. He corrected me, and he's like Church
Yeah.
of Latter-day Saints.
Oof.
But he
that'd be
started
good.
preaching to me, and then I was like, all right, if we're gonna do this isn't gonna work with you and I. So he stopped though. He
Yeah.
took when
Oh,
I
that's
said to
good.
stop, and we hung out for the rest of. This was when I lived in Hell's Kitchen.
Yeah. Oh man, I finger banged so many Mormon girls behind the wash behind the church. Oh, that's
Wow.
so great.
Did
so
you know?
much fun.
They're going to hell.
Well, so they can't have sex before marriage, right? But I'm assuming they can finger bang.
Yeah.
But not only can they do that,
They can do butt stuff.
they can. What they do is something called soaking. Have you heard of this?
Ooh, so
I didn't find out about
I
this
want to hear
until-
about it.
Well, so not only can they could go as far as inserting the penis into the vagina, but they cannot pump or thrust.
Oh,
And
so just
so-
getting it wet.
And
oh my
so
God.
they literally, it's called soaking. It's like a thing.
Wow.
I mean, I also don't know if I read that or I'm making it up right
I mean,
now.
it was a dream I had. That's
Yeah.
not even
That
reality.
sounds like something you tried to use to convince a chick that it was. No. It's called soaking.
Have you
heard of
Let me
this?
Have
Have you heard about?
Cum
have
is
you heard about
negative
soaking?
calories and soaking is a thing.
Yeah.
It's good for your skin. I promise.
All right, I think that's it.
Yeah, I
I
think
think
on that note,
Jericho
that's a-
giggling.
That's another episode of the Bushwick Bears podcast.
Follow all our shit. We got sketches coming out.
On YouTube
Thank you for finishing that sentence.
and on our Instagram. Follow our Instagram at Bushwick Bears.
And I guess our Twitter while the
yeah,
why
follow
don't we
Twitter
share
too.
the Twitter?
Yeah, follow both of those. Who gives a fuck about Facebook?
We're on there
And-
too, though.
No,
for the
Facebook
old
is
people.
good. Facebook is good. Don't upset them.
We're
We
trying
need
to pitch this show to Quibi, so we need your guys' support real bad. I want to Quibi the fuck out of this show.
Totally.
That'd
We
be
want
great.
to make something short form with Alec Baldwin in it.
Yeah, sure. I would love to be on Chrissy Teigen's show.
Fuck yeah.
All right.
All
Mic
right,
tricks.
There we go.
Awesome. Thank you guys.